Dude, the last 3 shots are sharing the same hole.
What does pressure mean to you? For Wally King, better known as ocdhunter inside the HuntLeague community and winner of the HuntLeague's 2023 Outdoorsman of the Year, it means pushing perfection to its absolute limits. I recently got to spend an afternoon with Wally at my local indoor range and brought my camera along to learn from one of the best. We'll talk gear, unparalleled customer service, and dive into something that I have never explored before related to pressure, bullet speeds, and shooting suppressed.
This is an awesome rifle, this Seekins Element. I won this in the Outdoorsman of the Year with HuntLeague about a year ago, and it's been nothing but dead accurate ever since. Like super sub MOA. I have a quarter MOA round with some ELDMs and a half MOA round with the hammers that I hunt with. And I sent it in. I spoke to them about I was getting pressure a little earlier than I wanted to. They said just send it in. They ended up rebarreling the thing for me. Nothing was wrong with it, but they made me a tighter chamber free of cost. And so we're starting from scratch with some hand loads, starting my ladder development with the hammers. I started at 50 grains of Ramshot Hunter and going to work my way up. Hopefully I can hit about 32. I used to max my pressure at around 3,000 to 3,100 in there. And I'm trying to hit 32, that magic number. The ELDMs were hitting pressure really low, like 28. And I should be able to get 3,000 out of those. So we're going to see what happens.
Whoa. I got to call a timeout right here and make sure you didn't miss something. Wally won this Seekins Element rifle. This was just one part of a massive prize package that he won from winning the HuntLeague Outdoorsman of the Year. What does that mean? It means that you could also win that award by downloading the HuntLeague mobile app. I use it every day. I check the daily challenge boxes when I train at the gym, when I shoot at the range, but also in the field is a digital hunting journal on scouting trips and hunts. The app captures the story of your season and all the work that you're putting in throughout the year. And at the end of the year, finalists are selected that share their story with some of our league partners, such as Seekins Precision, Vortex Optics, HUXWRX, Remington, Bergara, Argali, Spot Hog, Sever, Burris, Stag Arms, Arkin Optics, and the list goes on, Hogue Hunting, and so many more, Graxaw. But ultimately, one individual is crowned with the Outdoorsman of the Year title and walks away with an incredible prize package. So, winning a league championship is awesome, but that's not why I'm stopping us here. Seekins Precision sent Wally the rifle of his choice, and he went with the Element rifle chambered in 6.5 PRC. Out of the box, that rifle was shooting half to quarter MOA groups. But I want to make sure that you caught this. Wally sent it back. Not because he wasn't happy with the group sizes, but his brass was showing pressure signs earlier than he expected. So here's what happened next. Wally reached out to Hammer Bullets, and wouldn't you know it, Steve, the owner, answered the phone. Well done, Steve and Hammer Bullets. You guys nailed the customer service experience right there and made a great impression with Wally. That is also worth sharing with other hunters in this video. Wally shared what was going on, and Steve agreed that he probably shouldn't be hitting pressure at the velocities that he was getting, and he suggested reaching out to Seekins. Now, don't miss this, as this is where I start to feel the pressure. We selected Seekins as our rifle partner in the Outdoorsman of the Year because we believe they make one of the best, if not the best, production rifle that you can get your hands on. But that's not the only reason. Every rifle they sell comes with a lifetime shooter satisfaction guarantee. If you're unhappy for any reason, you can send your rifle back for them to test and troubleshoot. Now, most manufacturers offer some kind of MOA guarantee, which can be hard to test, and it's often super subjective. Is it the ammo, the shooter, the optic? Is that MOA guarantee based on an average group size or the best 3-round group size from an entire pallet of bullets? So, needless to say, Wally hesitantly reached out to Seekins, not wanting to ruffle any feathers after winning this rifle. And he explains that the rifle is dead nuts accurate, but he's not hitting his desired velocity before he starts to hit pressure. Now, this video is all about pressure. Pressure signs while shooting, but also pressure on me, HuntLeague, and Seekins to deliver a rifle worthy of the Outdoorsman of the Year title. I'm going to be honest. My expectation here is that Seekins may say something like, hey, we can't cover that as our warranty only covers factory loads and you're doing hand loads. At best, I thought they might tell Wally to send it in for them to take a look, to shoot through, test, and then quickly return it saying, hey, everything is shooting fine, the rifle's good to go. But that's not what happened. They got on the phone with Wally, discussed in detail the issue that he was facing, and they talked through some potential solutions. At the end of the call, they urged him to send it in for them to take a look at. And they sent him a prepaid label to cover the shipping cost. After receiving the rifle, they tested it, all the specs checked out, but they still opted to cut him a new barrel, tightening up the chamber and headspace ever so slightly. I mean, we're talking thousandths of an inch, while still staying within Sammy's specs. Are you kidding me? This is customer service, almost unheard of in today's world. This is a big part of why we selected Seekins as our rifle partner for the HuntLeague Outdoorsman of the Year. But this was the first time that I really got to witness their customer service firsthand. They treat their customers the way that I would want to be treated. I've been to the Seekins Precision facility in Lewiston, Idaho. I've met Glenn, Maddie, Danny, Kevin, Tyler, and other members of the Seekins team. These are great guys committed to making the absolute best factory rifles in the industry. And they make virtually every part of those rifles from top to bottom in-house. When they say they offer a shooter satisfaction guarantee, they mean it. It's no wonder why their rifles are often back-ordered and hard to find at your local gun store, especially now with their new M3 actions and rifle stocks, which if you haven't seen, you have to check it out. All right, let's head back to the range with Wally for his first shots after getting the rifle back. Before we start shooting and pressure testing his hand loads though, let's check out what this OCD hunter has done with this setup to make it a tack driving machine.
I'm still zeroing while I'm testing my ladder, no pressure. And every time I move that crosshair an inch, it's hitting exactly an inch from where I move it. So everything seems really dialed in terms of rock solid everything, the Zeiss scope, the Havoc Element rifle, and these Seekins rings.
Tell me what modifications you've done, because you have the Seekins rifle, you know, this is a Seekins Element, but what modifications do you have on it?
So first thing I noticed, and I mean, most rifles are actually built a little long for most people. So Seekins builds at least this rifle a little short, but I happen to be one of the guys that could use the long stock. So I made a custom carbon fiber spacer here to get it the length of pull back to, it's almost at 14 inches. And this is also glow in the dark carbon. I built that myself, and it's to help me see the rifle when I'm hunting. This is a backfire recoil pad, which honestly, the 6.5 doesn't recoil enough to really notice that much. But it sure seems nice.
Yeah.
This is a Mountain Tactical cheek riser, which I think is extremely critical that every rifle have your cheek, so you can get that cheek weld right on your cheekbone, same spot every single time. Otherwise, you end up with parallax errors, especially as you get out past a couple hundred yards. You could be several MOA off if you're just resting your cheek here and trying to find where your head's supposed to go every time. So, you know, what, $70? Can't go wrong with that. Put a little foam on top to give me more comfort. This is a MK Machining Picatinny bubble level, and that will help you keep your rifle from canting at awkward times. Like if you're on a slope, it's very hard to know if your rifle is level or not. And that again can be in the difference of several MOA at yardage over a couple hundred yards. So all these kind of things tie in. These are AAD mount, although I have MK Machining on some of my rifles. These are awesome. These are just quick access caps to cover your scope. And then the Spartan Precision bipod, which I have two mounts for. That's for precision and prone. This is for steep angle shooting, like if you're shooting over a cliff or something like that. And then the HUXWRX Ventum 762 suppressor, which, man, it just makes this a joy to shoot and makes the hunt great because you don't have to wear earplugs or find earplugs in time to shoot. And I'm getting old enough that I notice I've had some hearing loss, and you only get those ears once. So that's essentially what I have set up here. Oh yeah, the Zeiss scope. Love this thing. It's the V6. I finally splurged on exactly the scope that I wanted, and so far it's tracked and held zero like a charm. And it's so bright that even in bright daylight, sometimes I find it too bright because it's actually a brighter image than what I'm seeing without it. So, but at low light, it's fantastic. I forgot to talk about this. Yeah, so MK Machining makes these throw level levers for just about every scope on the market. Are we rolling?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so they make for about every scope on the market, and if not, they can do a custom one for you for only like a few bucks more. You just give them the dimensions, and this just makes dialing your your zoom, your magnification way faster. Especially when it's cold, you got gloves on and you're fiddling with that. You can, and then you have like reference points. Like I know what magnification that is. Actually, I don't right now, but before hunting season I will. But you can kind of in your mind know what your magnification levels are, and that can be helpful too if you're running a reticle with a tree on it with a second focal plane.
So what do you have here?
So this side is the Hammer Hunter 125 grain solid copper. These are precision machined bullets. And I like to shoot copper because if you can get a really accurate load and get your rifle really accurate, regardless of what type of bullet you're using, you can just be precise and get that bullet exactly where you want it. And that's how I like to shoot. I don't want to have a lead bullet that explodes in fragments all over and hits parts of the meat that I didn't want it to hit. So if I know that I'm confident in hitting the vitals 90% of the time, hopefully better, I want to shoot a bullet that's going to just stay in the vitals. And so I like to use copper. They do need extra speed to expand. And so that's why I'm shooting 125 grain, but they penetrate every bit as good as a heavy lead bullet. So you can get away with a lighter, faster bullet, and that makes up for the lower ballistic coefficient. These are 3 of the previous loads that I had before, so I wanted to bring some loads just to see. I'll do a group with those once I find all my ladder stuff. I did the same thing with the ELDMs. These are ELDMs on this side, and I ran 2 loads of each charge of ELDM because I'm going to compare the suppressor performance on pressure. I have 2 suppressors. I have the HUXWRX, which is a flow-through, and that should, I'm hoping, also reduce pressure further. When I did all this testing and load dev, I was using a Silencer Pro Omega 300, which I bought for my son because it reduces recoil. It has an external brake. But since it's a stacked baffle, I have a hunch that some of that back pressure that, from what I understand, it could be up to like 10,000 PSI that comes back into the rifle after that bullet leaves the barrel, and that could actually shove the brass into your bolt, giving you premature pressure signs that you shouldn't be seeing. And so I kind of have a hunch that that might be part of where the early pressure signs were coming from. So after I get my ladder on these hammers, we're going to switch over to the ELDMs, and we're going to test it with both suppressors and see if the suppressor impacts the amount of pressure depending on whether it's a flow through or a stacked baffle design. 29.25, so that's right about where I expected it. Let's get that out so it can sort of cool off. And then we're going to check the brass for pressure signs. So I'm going to go until I either have an ejector mark or a really sticky bolt.
No extraction issues?
No, I mean, the bolt's coming up a little slow. It's not what I would call sticky, and it's really the result of having a tighter chamber, because even at the lowest pressure load, it was just a little slower than I would expect, and it's been consistent. It's been about the same. So we're really just feeling the resistance of expanding to the SAMI spec chamber size right there. If it gets hard to lift, that's another problem. Previous data shows us hitting just over 3,000 with 53.9.
Where are you at?
We're at 54, but previous data shows over 3,000 with this load. 2973.8. So if anything, it's actually a little slower, but that's okay. If if we're not hitting pressure till later. And that still looks really good. In fact, the primer looks better on that one than the last one. So here goes 55. By the way, that one smack center of the red. At 100. So I love it, man. When you have stuff that's like precision made, there's none of this like back and forth. It's math. You're like, how many clicks do I need to get to there? And you're like, there we go. That hit the same hole. I didn't feel any stickiness. Primer looks good. No ejector marks. We can see we got a little bit of carbon on the neck, which is what you want. So carbon's going to come back, and then that shoulder's going to seal, and that's why the carbon stops there. If you have carbon coming back this way,
too much pressure.
Yeah.
Your velocity target is 3,100.
I'd like to hit 32. I was already at 30, 50.
I wonder what that would do to your barrel life.
Well, if you shoot it all like that all the time, yeah, it'll wear it out faster. But these are my hunting loads.
Yeah.
So once I find my hunting load, I just shoot a few of them a year, and then I'll shoot these ELDMs at 28, 2,900.
Yeah. Okay.
For practice.
Carry on.
All right. I got to stop on the coffee, man. I'm starting to get jitters. Not helping.
I hate that there was a big...
That threw me off so bad.
It's so hard, right at your trigger squeeze when somebody else pulls the trigger.
Fortunately, I'm not going for group size right now.
You just exceeded 3,100.
That was quite a jump.
That was more of a jump than what I was expecting, because we were at 29 what?
Yep.
80? 29.87?
Yep.
And we just went to 31.02.
Yep. I guess I should have put 02, but
let's see how'd the bolt feel?
It might have been a little stickier that time. Let's see. The brass looks good, and so does the primer. So no, I think we're good to go. So now we're going to 57. Once I get past 57, we're going to go half grain at a time.
Yeah.
Barrel feels
feel
good. These Seekins barrels don't heat up as fast as like my Tikka. It's amazing.
Whew, 31.40.
That felt... Let's see. Bright ejector mark right there. You see that? Super bright. But 31's still good. That's like at least 50 feet per second better than what I was getting. It's about 70 actually before I hit pressure. So I think so 57 was
31.40.2.
So I'm going to probably, like, when I come back, I'll build a load. I'll go 55.5, 56, and 56 and a half, and I'll do groups with those and see which is the most accurate.
See which one groups best.
Yeah. 3,100, I'm happy with that. I was getting, like, my average was 3,030 with my old load, max pressure. So I get another 70 feet per second, which doesn't sound much, but with copper it matters, not just for the impact velocity, but it's going to give you a faster RPM on the bullet coming out the barrel. So it's almost the equivalent of going to a 1 in 7 or 1 in 7.5 twist. It's going to stabilize the bullet better, and that higher RPM is going to help it open up faster when it hits the animal as well. All right, so let's make a new category for ELDM SCO and HUXWRX. So this is the silencer co. I'm pretty sure we're okay at 50. I might jump ahead if it seems like we can skip a couple grains, but we'll see. Kind of curious at how these group compared to where the other ones were hitting.
So again, we had a simultaneous shot.
And it was right in the red. So they're grouping right up there with the...
So the HUXWRX and silencer co still put the same... You don't have to make any adjustment?
Didn't have to adjust at all.
Between the two suppressors?
And not just different suppressors, but the different bullets too. I think, like, this is a really stiff barrel, and both suppressors weigh about the same, so they probably have a similar barrel harmonics, That one was like an inch left.
Like, I love hearing the suppress shot versus like the cannons going off beside us.
I know.
In this indoor space.
I wish it was required. Velocities are very similar between the ELDMs and the
yeah, I'm gonna zoom in on that because I'm actually really surprised that your velocities are as similar.
Yeah, I am
like
surprised.
Going 27.72 compared to 27.85.
With how it was chambered before, the hammers were about 100 feet per second faster per grain weight. That grouped with the last one, 27.89. I was hitting max pressure between 53, 54 grains last time with the ELDMs. So I'm actually sensing that these are gonna, I probably should have loaded hotter loads. So this is 53. Dude, the last 3 shots are sharing the same hole. I'm not even kidding.
Any pressure signs on your brass?
Zero. Actually, the ELDMs feel like they're handling pressure better than the hammers because even the chamber's not feeling tight. Yeah, see, this is what I was shooting last time, 0.3 MOA. These 2 groups were both 0.25, but I chose the middle just to be in the middle of the node. 0.3 MOA, and look at the speeds I got. So I think, yeah, it was shooting faster before. I bet you that's due to the barrel being broken in. I can tell there's definitely less recoil with the silencer co.
Because of that hybrid brake on the front.
Yeah, exactly. Same ragged hull.
Yeah.
2890. No ejector marks, but you can see the primer started to flatten a little bit.
And that was 54, which last time you were already hitting pressure.
Yes, I couldn't go to 54 in the past. And I'm already, now it went up 100 feet per second. And look at the difference between the hammer now. The hammers are 100 feet per second ahead at this load. All right, let's see, 55. Woo.
We're a little hot.
Getting a little warm.
Let's give it a minute.
Yeah.
No reason to rush.
Right.
I don't know, 5-10 minute break.
Yeah.
Barrel feels good.
Feels good.
Prove it. Just kidding.
It's down to probably 100 degrees-ish, 110 degrees. 2963, and there's pressure. You can see the ejector mark right here by my thumb, and you can see a weird shape on it.
On the primer, yeah.
So we hit pressure, so I didn't need to go any higher.
And that was what, 55?
At 55. So I'll build my load on this one between 53.5 and 54.5. And then I'll say pressure, ejector. Oh, that's where the HUXWRX notes go. Ejector on S-Co. So now we're just gonna I don't even need to go through all of them. I'll start at like 54 with the Hux in there, and then see if I can get to 56. That'll save a little time too. Yeah, that one's already getting pretty hot. The Hux gets hot slower than the silencer co.
It's what?
The Hux doesn't get as hot as fast as the silencer co.
Really?
Yeah. All right, so this is back to Hux, and we're gonna go with, we'll start with 54. It's interesting too, that last one that had pressure, it was out of that group. All the other, like the last 4 or 5 shots were in the same hole, and that last one where we hit pressure was like off to the right. No ejector marks, so we're at 2897, so we're only 7 feet per second different.
So that was 7 feet per second faster than with the silencer co Mega, but
we're still
that's
kind of in the same.
That's negligible.
49.7. Let's see.
And this was 55?
Yeah. It's hard to say. I can't tell if that's new or old. I should look at the back of these before I shoot them. The bolt didn't feel too bad. It felt about the same as the last one, so I'm gonna go up one more and see what happens. 29, 49, 56. Put an X in there for that one and see how she goes. Dude, this Seekins holds steadier. It's weird because it's a lighter rifle. 3019.4.
3000.
Yeah, and I don't see any problems with that, dude. I probably could have gone hotter. So it's definitely working a lot better with the ELDMs, this tighter chamber, and the flow through suppressor. So I do think there's something to the suppressor on that. 3019. I probably won't build a load that hot for these because this is just target loads, and I want to keep my barrel, healthy and all that. I'm gonna put a max here just for. I don't think. Yeah, I wouldn't want to go any more than that. I started to feel a little sticky, even though the brass.
Yeah, even though the brass wasn't too marred up, you're not like hitting massive overpressure, but you're getting to pressure. All right, so talk me through what we're looking at.
All right, so this was sighting in. This was just at 50 yards till I got there. Good enough for what we're trying to accomplish. This is the remainder of the hammers. That's about 3 or 4 hammers in this hole right there. And then that's probably the one that I shot when that gun went off.
Right before you. You're like, I pulled it.
It probably just shook the gun.
Yeah. But you can see, I mean, you're hitting the same hole.
Yeah.
With 3 or 4 shots. I mean, that's barely.
That's like quarter
crazy,
away, if not less. And then here's the ELDMs, and this is where I was for about 4 shots.
Yeah.
Until I switched over, these are like different. This is like low, the ultra low end and the high end of the pressure kind of moved to the right. But when we were in the right node, it was about as good as those hammers. Like, does it allow for better velocity on reloads by reducing pressure? You know what I mean? Ultimately, that's what we're trying to figure out. And I think the answer is yes, because I mean, we were able to we had ejector marks with the baffle design right there and no ejector marks here at a grain higher. Less pressure.
Yeah,
higher
with
velocity.
The HUXWRX.
Yeah, and with higher velocity.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, technically, this was my max here for the baffle stack, and this is my max here for units. So we got an extra 1,000 or 140 feet per second, or 130 anyway, before hitting pressure.
That's pretty significant.
Yeah, I think so. Difference between a 30-06 and a 300 mag, right? Or a 308 and a 30-06.
This rifle is so accurate.
It's
this is a brand new barrel. Your bullets aren't supposed to be touching out of brand new, just machined.
With different charges, with different grain weight. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we'll get it back down to quarter minute, probably with both loads.
Yeah, I've seen enough to convince me that you'll be there. I mean, you got these two, I mean, in pretty much the same hole right there.
Now, I've got to say, I learned a lot from my time with Wally. As much as I love hunting, I spend most of my time behind a bow, so I've never really jumped into the reloading world. So to watch him develop a node, which is basically adjusting the powder charge and seating depth to find that sweet spot of bullet speed, pressure, and accuracy that's going to produce tight groups consistently downrange. Now, what is absolutely nuts is how consistent this Seekins rifle shoots, period. Wally was throwing different powder loads, bullets with big variances in speed and pressure. He switched suppressors and even has shot it with nothing but the thread protector on the end of the muzzle with very little to no point of impact shift. I bet if Timu made bullets, he could still shoot those bullets sub-MOA out of this Seekins rifle. It just plain flat out shoots. Now, I've also done my homework on suppressors though, and I've seen lots of videos related to how back pressure impacts cycling on gas guns. They're pressure testing flow-through type technology versus baffles. Now, this is one area where the HUXWRX suppressors really shine compared to other suppressors. Their flow-through technology keeps back pressure to a minimum and rifle cycling virtually the same as running it unsuppressed on your gas guns. When it comes to gas guns, I know personally I love running HUXWRX suppressors. I know everybody has got their favorites, and you can find suppressors that might be lighter, better at reducing sound or recoil, but to me, HUX does a great job at all of those things while also directing toxic gas away from the shooter's face, which is a big deal, especially if you're spending a lot of time at the range behind a suppressed rifle. Now, this video isn't supposed to be about my preferences though. So did you catch what Wally had to say while he was shooting? He gave a few direct comparisons between the Silencer Co. Omega and the HUXWRX Ventum. He pointed out that the recoil suppression was actually a little better on the Omega with that hybrid brake up front attached. But the Omega heated up quicker and ultimately limited the powder charge and speeds on this rifle as it began to show pressure signs much sooner than the HUXWRX that had the flow-through technology. Some shooters, especially those competing in PRS or NRL hunter matches, they might prefer that Omega with that hybrid brake or even a large, like a 4-port or 5-port muzzle brake, as recoil management is often more important than sound suppression in a match. Now, for Wally or a hunter building their nodes, this is a critical lesson. Are you looking for max speed before you start seeing pressure signs? What if you're under the impression that all suppressors work similarly? Based on today's observations, you could develop a load that works great with the HUXWRX suppressor that could result in major pressure issues if you put any other type of baffled suppressor on your rifle. Now, I know I still have a lot to learn, but I do have a real appreciation for the folks inside the HuntLeague community that have taught me so much. I'm walking away having spent a great day with the OCD hunter Wally King, the 2023 Outdoorsman of the Year, where I got to witness Seekins Precision commitment to their customer satisfaction guarantee, as well as precision under every kind of pressure. Thank you so much for sticking with us in this video. Love to have you subscribe to the channel. We've got some really exciting content on the horizon. Go ahead and get your phone out now and download the HuntLeague mobile app. We would love to have you join our incredible community.